Well, right now I can see Laura and Mary and Jill. And I want to tell you guys, and there's Sherry. I am so excited about doing this Zoom meeting because I have been out of the country for the last 7 months, and I just missed everybody so much. And I wish I could give you all a great big hug like we do on Sunday mornings, but I can't. So, mwah, thanks for coming. It's good to see you. And the topic for this month is what does peace look like? And I thought to myself, my gosh, we haven't had any peace in so long, it's hard to remember what it looks like. I can tell you, I was in Italy and turned on the news one night, the international news, and saw Minneapolis in flames. I kept saying, it can't, they must be wrong. That has to be Indianapolis. It can't be Minneapolis. But it was. And so there's no way to explain what it feels like when you're that far away and you see this community that you lived in and walked in and played in just being totally destroyed. And I haven't been downtown since I got home. I've been home for 3 weeks and I haven't been downtown because I'm trying to wrap my head around how do I want to deal with this situation? How, people keep saying, well, we just want to get back to normal. And I'm saying, no, I don't want to get back to normal. I want something better than what was. And so when it came out that the theme for this month was, what does peace look like? I thought, oh, yeah, that's right. I need to stop worrying about what this looks like and begin to look at what I want this to change into. We are really at a time of exploring who we are and choosing who we want to become. And that carries over into our community and our country and the whole world. And the only way we can do that is starting inside. You have to find peace, whatever peace is, in yourself before if you come to discover what your peace is, then you can project that out into the world. But it's not a question of looking out and seeing what's wrong. I can look and say, oh, don't burn down Lake Street. But it's a little late for that. I need to look and say, what do I want instead of that? Years and years and years ago, when I first started channeling, Essence said, you're supposed to be love. And the way you do that is you look at the places where you don't see love. And you ask yourself, what would love look like in that place? And then you be that. And so I've been thinking a lot about what is the opportunity for us now to move out of the confusion and the chaos to the place of, it's like just skip over this. What do we want instead of this? Because we get so caught up in seeing what's going on and the political and the medical and all of it. And who knows who's right and who's wrong. And when we take our time deciding, okay, these people are telling me the truth and these people are lying to me. Well, it's probably more like this, a little bit of both. It doesn't matter. What matters is where you're at in your own heart and in your own soul and in your vision of what you want to have. You can, Essence says the answer to how is yes. And I truly believe that, because when we ask, how do I fix this? How do I change this? How do I, then you're going to get caught up in the, well, they have to do this and then they have to do that and then they have to do the other. No, that's not our job. Our job is not to fix it or even, even tell people how to do it. Our job is to look at what's going on and decide, I don't like this. This is not what I want. And then you have to go inside into your own self and say, where is peace in me? And if you have in you places that you are still carrying a grudge or judging people or not able to love somebody, you've got to resolve that. That's how you change the world. That's how you change what's outside. You have to start with you. So my question is, what does peace feel like to you? What does it feel like inside you when you are at peace? Where do you go when you're at peace? Next time you feel really peaceful, look at where you're at and what you're doing. And then ask yourself, how do I bring this feeling out into the world? It's not about convincing everybody they have to change. It's about allowing yourself to see where you have to be at peace. Where do you have to? The first place we have to start is not judging what's going on. It's not good. We know it's not good. The whole world is suffering. And so we have to say, I have to stop judging that. I have to say, that's not the way I want the world to be. What do I want the world to be? And sometimes people say, well, it's just a fairy tale. You can't make people change. You can show them how. You can't make people do anything, but you can show them how. And it takes a lot of courage when you're in a group of people and they're all split, or they're all, even if they're all agreeing how terrible these other people are and how awful this is. And, somewhere along the line in their discussion of what has to be different, you can be the one who brings in that we have to stop judging and we have to start loving. Essence says people don't do terrible things because they're terrible. They do it from their pain. So where is the pain? How do we find the pain and nurture those who are in pain? I don't mean you have to take everybody who's thrown a Molotov cocktail into a department store and sit down and say, well, that wasn't the right thing to do. That's not it, because they won't hear you. You have to begin with loving that person. You might put them in jail, but you still love them. I don't think allowing people to do the things that they shouldn't do is loving. But it's not writing them off as, oh, they're all this way and they're all that way. This is an opportunity for us to step up and say, this is what I see, this is what I feel. And it's about going inside and really, really, really asking yourself, what is it about this that bothers me? What do I want to be different? It breaks my heart when I think about kids not going to school this fall, because I loved school when I was a kid. I couldn't wait for school to start. And I feel sorry for those children who are not able to take advantage of that. And how do I change that? I don't even have any kids in school now. How do I change that? How do you just have to love it. You just have to love the people who are making the decisions. When you see somebody on TV saying something that, it's never going to work and blah, 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 we have to love that person. Love is stronger than anything else. If you have to, a friend of mine once said, you have to pull the thorn out of your own heart before you can heal somebody else. And it's true. The greatest gift that you can give to the world right now is to go inside and to ask yourself, where do I need to start loving myself? Where do I need to start giving myself permission to be who I really am, to see myself as I really am, to allow myself to have my own beliefs, to stop judging myself? We all judge ourselves so harshly. Ask yourself sometime when you're beating yourself up about something, if this were my best friend who was doing this, what would I say to them? The answer usually is you'd say, oh, nobody's perfect. Just try better the next time. No, we are so self-judgmental. And we convince ourselves again and again and again that we're not worthy, we don't deserve it, we're not good enough. Well, that's not love. And you have to start with loving yourself, because if you don't have anything to give anybody else. It's not being selfish. It's not being egotistical. It's being self-nurturing. And peace starts with self-nurturing. If you have all these things you've done in your life that you feel guilty about, start going through and tossing them out. Literally call it up, look at it and say, that's in the past. I can't change it. I'm releasing it. Let go of it. Not a single thing you did in the past counts today. Every day is a new day. You start a new day. Every day you get up and you can live from love, or you can not live from love. You have the option. And the only way you can start to build that peace in yourself is to release your judgment and give yourself permission to be imperfect and go forward. I spent 7 months in Italy, and I think I'm firmly convinced that that's where the universe wanted me to be. And there was nothing I could do there. Nothing I could do about anything that was going on back here. If I had wanted to march, I couldn't have. Well, my knees won't take it either, but that's a different story. So I kept saying, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And finally I realized it's not about doing anything. It's about who are you being. And when I allowed myself to go to a place of being at peace in this beautiful surroundings where we were, and release the need to be riding in on a white horse rescuing everybody, I found peace. I could really, enjoy it. And coming back here, I realized there's very little that on the physical world I can do, but I can sit every morning and look out and wish love to everyone, not just cheer the good guys. It's like everybody's a good guy. Everybody is a good guy. They're all doing what they think is right. And we need to have a place in our hearts for their mistakes. So, how do you go inside and find peace? What does peace mean to you? You have to find your own meaning. So I'm asking if anybody's got an answer. Let me know. What feels peaceful? Where do you find peace? Is it in a group? Is it by yourself? Are you walking in nature? I've got a friend who every morning gets up and goes for a walk and comes back and has a fabulous day. For me, I find peace when I'm cooking. I'm baking bread, and it's so zen, and I just realized, I just let my mind go, and I think about the idea that there's always been bread. It's a constant, and my idea of peace is everybody's making their own bread and they're enjoying it and they're getting the same feeling out of it that I am. And, it's so many things can define peace. But to take that vision out into the world, what does it mean? When I think about it, why do I feel that way when I'm eating bread? It's because I feel like I'm connected to something that's bigger than me, that's older than me, that's been there forever. But I'm an old lady, so that's what it means to me. I'm sure that for a 30-year-old, peace means something entirely different. It's tied to not worrying about things, feeling that there's a hope for the future, and we're in a place where we have to have hope, because if we don't, we're just gonna not respond, not do anything. If you don't have hope, you're not going to move toward peace. You have an opportunity to change the world, every one of you, in whatever way you want to change it. But you have to go inside and make peace with yourself first. Think about it. What do you feel when you feel at peace? And what brings that feeling? And how do you take that feeling out into the world. You simply send it out. You don't have to go walk the streets and greet people, and if you want to, that's fine, go ahead. But you can be just as effective sitting on your front porch, watching the people go by and wishing everyone peace. Or spreading it throughout, every bit counts. Every bit makes a difference. If enough of us are visioning peace, that vision has to manifest. But when we put our energies looking at bombings and coronavirus and possibilities of war, and if that's where our energy is going, you say it a million times and we still forget it. What you focus on, you feed. Feed peace. Focus on children playing. Focus on puppies. Focus on flowers. Focus on beautiful days. Focus on the sea. Focus on the lake. Focus on life. Beautiful life. And that energy lifts your energy. And when you lift your energy, the whole is lifted. Essence has said, when you stand in your truth, the whole universe is more aligned with truth. When you are focusing on and sending your energy to a vision of peace and love and joy, there's an opportunity then for that to connect with other people who are having the same thoughts and the same thing. And eventually, we change it. It's like one person trying to roll a boulder. Probably can't do it. But if enough people come along and say, oh, you need some help with that, and come and start to roll it, it's easy for each person just has to give their shove and the whole thing moves. We have to bring together enough in our own hearts and our own minds of what we want to see in the world. We don't want to see war. We don't want to see death. We don't want to see riots. We don't want to see racism or, we don't want to see those things. But as long as we put our focus on them and then we're fighting them, it's just going to grow. You have to put your focus on what will it look like when those things are gone? What will the world look like when there's no more racism and there's no more fighting and there's no more illness and there's no more hunger and people are loving each other? My gosh, we can create that. Hold the vision. I'm not telling you to close yourself off from what's going on in the world. I'm telling you, don't feed it. Don't feed it. If you see something that is not peace, ask yourself, what would peace look like there? And focus on that. If you see people fighting in the street, what would peace look like there? A parade, a block party, a picnic, a street market, a celebration. Take that picture and replace it with something powerfully positive. A potluck dinner where the neighborhood's all coming and eating together and sharing. That's the vision you want to bring, of them just walking along the street and welcoming each other. It's not, you can't just stay there glued to the TV watching the riot and saying, ain't it awful? Yes, it is. But what do you want instead? Ask for what you want. You don't want what we're seeing now. So what do we want to see? What do we want to see? Anybody got any comment they'd like to make?
Mary Friend has one in chat. She says, for me, definitely don't find peace in a group, alone in nature, not cooking, but the whole process of baking is zen for me.
Ah, thank you, Mary. I have other people whose greatest joy and peace is when they're in the middle of a group, when they feel like they're part of a group effort or something. And then others who, like you say, walking alone in nature, they connect to the bigger picture. But everybody's different. You're all going to find, my mind now is just I'm going on baking bread, eating bread. Anybody else? You guys all know what peace is, huh? Okay.
I just unmuted Mary Friend. It sounded like she wanted to comment.
I had tried earlier, but I couldn't unmute that's why I went through the chat. But no, I don't know what peace is. Well, I know where I try to find peace, but I struggle with what you're saying a little bit. Just the whole manifesting versus taking action is a little hard for me right now. Watching it all and I try not to watch it too much because obviously it affects me strongly in here. But it feels like I need to do something out in the world other than try to envision what's the change that's out there. But I'm not a person who takes on strangers. People I care about who are doing things I don't necessarily think are helping the world towards peace. I do feel the need to challenge sometimes. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
If it's what you need, go ahead. And then ask yourself afterwards, how effective was that? If it works. And then pick someone and focus on just sending them love and allowing them to deal, to live their own drama. But just send them love and see if that makes a difference. I think it's interesting because I have a fairly large family, and we're just all over the map. And so I have developed a philosophy of that love is more powerful than instructions because they don't want instructions. They don't want, so it's, and like I said, you have to start in your own heart and see where you're not happy with what you're doing and begin there. But this is a time of huge transformation, huge transformation. It's not just change, it's transformation, meaning when we get through this, we're going to be somebody different than we were at the beginning. And so while all of this transformation is, while all of us caterpillars are becoming butterflies, we're seeing all the others doing the same thing. And it's real easy to say, oh, look at him, he's just all mushy goo. Not realizing we're just all mushy goo now too, but that we're both going to end up being caterpillars, being butterflies. This process that's going on is something that we are trying to understand. And it's really difficult because we don't feel in control anymore. Most of us feel like we're being changed. Not that we're changing, but we're being changed, like we're being worked on from the outside. And it's about trusting that all of this is purposeful and it is getting us someplace better. But our obligation and our responsibility is to decide where is it that we want to go? What do we want to find when we get off the boat? You know, I feel like it's a little bit like being on a midway ride, and when you get off, what do you see? You know, you've been all scrambled up, and it's about being able to see what you want. What would peace be for you? And a lot of us are not used to asking for what we want. You know, it's like I'm going to deal with whatever comes along, and that's one way. But to take control and say, what I would challenge you all every night before you go to sleep to say, what I would like to see in the world tomorrow is blank.
Sherry Stern has her
Yeah.
hand
Hi,
up,
Sherry.
so I'll let her speak.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Lynda. These are wonderful words, and perfect that I'm here today because I was kind of asking God this morning of what could be done for all the damage in businesses in the Lake Street area and in all the area. And the words that I got back were almost the same that you're saying. It said, God said to me that rebuilding comes from the inside of you and then goes outwards. You need to have a sturdy tree trunk before you can have the branches branching out. And it's the same with humans. You need to stop blaming everyone outwards and look within and say, what can I do? I have the strength to do something helpful. And that helpfulness can start by just being positive and resilient from within. That energy will touch another and then another, and they will pass it on, and eventually it can help spark an idea of someone who has the power to do something. Or it may give someone the spark to influence someone who has a power and has a new idea. So it said raising the consciousness and vibration is key, and that no one can raise us out of the lower vibrations but ourselves. Other people can help. They can tell us jokes or stories, but only I can accept that or reject that. And it said, remember when you were a child and you wanted to be something like a firefighter or a teacher or a nurse or fairy, and that inside of you that in that moment you could be it as a child. And it did not matter what the rest of the world was doing, as your focus was there to play out that role. And so now is the time to improve our focus in the moment and become resilient, become joyful, and that energy will continue to give to us as well as others. And it said, remember, only you can prevent forest fires. That one match can destroy millions of trees when the weather is dry. And one soul who is fearful and angry can also dishearten many, while that one soul who is resilient and joyful can lighten others' flames in their hearts to the tune of that same million of souls. And God just said, may the light shine on all of us today to share it with others.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was beautifully put. Beautifully put. I thank you for that. yeah, I think we need to realize how powerful we are. We're not helpless. It's how do we, and light is always stronger than darkness. We need to remember that. Positive energy is always going to be stronger than negative energy. It just is. And you just said that so beautifully, Sherry. Thank you so much. I would love it if you would write that out and email it to me.
And somebody said a thank you to Sherry on here. Says, "You're my new superhero, Smokey the Bear." And Ella also had a comment. She says, "I find peace by journaling, especially in gratitude journal."
Absolutely. Gratitude is one of the greatest ways to bring yourself out. When you're saying, I don't have any power, I can't do anything, I can't blah, blah, blah. Expect miracles. It's all I can say. I mean, I have had so many miracles in my life that I didn't deserve, didn't deserve it. But I finally got to the point where I realized that I was not going to have to do everything myself, that I was working with the universe, trying to move on a path and asking for help. It's so hard for us to ask for help. If you find it difficult to find a positive place every morning, ask. Wake up and say, I don't know how I'm going to keep a smile on my face today. And then look at what you have to be grateful for. No matter how little or much it is, there's always something in your life to be grateful for. I speak from experience. As it happens, I have a lot of people in my family right now who are going through cancer, and there's never been any cancer in our family. All of a sudden, bang, 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 here's all this cancer popping up. And it's interesting because it was never part of our reality before. It's like this whole unknown. And I love the way the family is coming together to support each other, even in our, ignorance. I believe in you. I'm praying for you, whatever. But you can always find something. A gratitude journal is a great way to bring yourself out of the dumps, because when you look at what you have to be grateful for, it's always so much more than what you're dealing with on the other side. I can remember days when I had a son who was terminally ill and miraculously recovered, as most of you know, but I can remember days that were so bleak that I stood at the sink washing dishes and saying, please, God, let the sun shine for just one day. Just give me one day of sunshine. And one morning I realized that I had that day every day that I woke up, and he was still here. Instead of thinking ahead about when it was going to be terrible and he was going to die, I started being grateful for that morning that I got up and he was still here. And then there was another morning and another morning and another morning. And he's sitting over on the couch now, 56 years old. And I didn't do anything. There was nothing I could do. And that's when we really need to ask for help. I didn't ask for him to be cured. I asked for strength for the rest of us to deal with it, for us to take whatever was going to happen and understand that it was being done by someone who loved him even more than we did. And it's a great place of gratitude. Peace is knowing that you're not doing this alone, I think, for me, that somebody's got my back, that no matter how bad things get, I can ask for help, and that I will get it. And I may not recognize it at the time, but down the road, I'll say, oh, yeah, that's, I think you have to trust. To find peace, you need to trust. And if we can trust that what's going on in the world right now is purposeful, that there's a reason for it. It's not just happening because all the bad guys are in charge. There's a reason for this. Essence has said a couple years ago that change was coming, and that it was like we lived beside a spring, and the spring looked beautiful and clear. But we've been shoving stuff down under the surface for so long that we finally plugged up the spring that fed the pond. And it got murky and icky and algae and dead fish and all that. And we didn't like that. We wanted something better. And enough people wanted it different that the energy cleared out the plug in the spring and threw everything to the surface. And that's where we're at now. All the stuff that's been below the surface is now on the surface, and we have to deal with it. And we can look at it and choose something else. So we can look at this as an opportunity to choose what we want our spring to look like, what we want our world to look like. If we just sit back and say, oh, those terrible people, plugged up our spring. No, you got to get your crap out of there too. Do you know what I mean? It's really important.
Lynda, someone else commented that she had lost 2 brothers in the past year due to cancer. We never had cancer in our family before, and they were only 60 and 65.
Well, I don't know who that is, but I want to tell you it's the people who are leaving now are finished, are done with, and a lot of them are younger than that. I have, because of the work I do, I know people all over. I've gotten people from Canada, people from England, who are telling me the same thing. And I don't know whether they're just choosing not to stick around for the big show or what, but it's difficult. It's really, really hard. And in my case, there's I have a niece who has 2 children who she just finished putting them through medical school, and she's diagnosed with kidney cancer, and it's spreading. She's young. She's really young. All we can do when that happens is support them in their choices. You know, if they are fighting it for all they're worth, support that. If they're saying, I'm done, I've had enough, support that. It's all purposeful. Nobody dies at the wrong time. Nobody dies an untimely death. That's the truth. Everyone dies at exactly the time they're meant to.
I think Ella's got a comment too, or a question.
Ella.
I'm hearing what you're saying, Lynda, but it just feels so hard. My son Clayton was just
I know.
51 when he passed last month, so it's hard to imagine he was done. He's got 7 grandchildren, so I just imagine him always being around, helping them, because they're all now under the age of 10. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around why. I know we all have a return bus ticket and that we all leave at some point in time, but it's just hard to deal with him being so young. But you're saying he was done.
I would ask you to realize that he's not done. He's just working in a different way.
Okay.
He is okay. I had a grandson who had Asperger's, and it was so painful because his family didn't really understand it. They didn't, and he was going to be taken to boarding school, and it was actually like one of those. They come at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they take them out of bed, and you can't go with them. It's like they're being kidnapped, sort of. And my dad had died a couple years before that, and I knew they were going to do that. So I woke up at 4 o'clock. I just woke up 4 o'clock in the morning, and I said, Dad, I know how you loved this kid. Please help him. I just said, please help him. And my son called me later and said, the driver of the van said it was really remarkable because he was distraught. He was hysterical and fighting and everything. And he said, then all of a sudden he stopped and he looked like somebody was talking to him. And he said, okay, and laid down on the back seat and went to sleep.
Wow.
These things happen in my family, and I feel like I need to share them because I didn't worry about him after that. My dad was watching him.
Okay.
My dad who loved little boys, So I get the impression, I have to tell you, that your son, first of all, loves you. Love you like a rock, Mama. And it's easier for him to cover all the bases in spirit than it would be here. Okay. Because what he says is, I don't have to worry about anything except taking care of them. Okay? Thanks, sweetie. Okay. Anybody got any questions? You guys are so amazing. I can't tell you. The energy of this group is just quite amazing. Don't you feel it, Ella?
I do.
Yeah. Awesome.
And you
Awesome.
do have Mary in the sanctuary too, watching. I don't know if you can see her down there. If Mary, if you turn
No.
around and wave. There you are.
Oh.
Well, and Pamela Stevens raised her hands. Did they see that?
Pamela?
Yeah, Pamela.
Hi. That you know that whole thing about nobody dies at the wrong time, ever. So you might have covered it a little and I missed it, but what about suicide?
Oh, good question.
I
Well,
have a daughter that was contemplating suicide recently.
nobody dies at the wrong time. Everybody dies exactly at when they've contracted to. If you choose, you know, that's your option. You have free will. That's what it's about. But there's no accidental death. There's no untimely. What essence is there are no untimely deaths. To say, oh, he was so young, he was so young. Well, he missed so much of his life. No, that was his whole life. And he was finished. My Asperger's grandson is dead now, from an accidental drug overdose. And all I could think of when they called me and told me was, he's safe now. He's safe now. Do I know why? No. But he had a tremendous impact on the family while he was here. And I just think he did a great job and left. But I truly do believe that nobody dies at the wrong time. There are no mistakes. We just don't understand. As I said one time, there are no mistakes. There are only unexpected outcomes. And in cooking, I've had that experience a lot. Do that. I want to thank you guys for showing up today. This is the first time I've done this. And I much prefer having you in person so I can hug you all. But assume that you're all getting a hug before you leave. And I'll owe you one, so the next time I see you, remind me.